Hey YouTube, welcome back to Nathan's Supra. Today I'm going to show you how to do something on your car that's not super specific. I'm going to show you how to install a clicker unlock that works. Alright, so here's everything you're going to need to do this job. First, you need whatever tools that you need in order to remove the inside lining of the door. For me, that was a screwdriver and a 10mm socket wrench. And then also I used needle nose pliers quite a bit to remove some of the stuff on the door as well. Yeah, the other thing that I found helpful here and there was also a set of lineman's pliers. But yeah, you could probably, get away with using different things, but obviously pliers, screwdrivers, wrenches, that kind of thing. You'll want a pair of wire strippers, and then also these have a crimp tool built into them. There's some things that I probably could have gotten away with using these instead of those, but those work just so much better than these in certain situations that it's just better. But yeah, you'll want something to crimp, and you'll want something to strip at the very least. And then I used a fish tape, like what you'd use to wire in your house. Found this really helpful for running some of the wires. I'll show you some of that. And then you want a schematic of the door locking system if you have one. If your car does not have a locking system already, then obviously there's no schematic to be had. But if your car does have a locking system, you'll want a schematic. And then here's some of the parts that, and you'll probably want a multimeter as well. Okay. Now, I will also say, if you're doing this for a Mark III Supra, then you could probably get away with not using the multimeter and not having the schematic. The schematic is free online, so there's not really any good reason not to use it. But yeah, you might be able to get away with it, but I would recommend having those anyways. Especially when it comes to stuff not working properly. The multimeter is really helpful, and the schematic. All right, and then these are the parts, so to speak, that I used, and I'll have links for all of this. But obviously, first you need the actual computer for this. The brand for this is Install Gear. It seems like, oh, shoot. It's not terribly expensive, and I don't have any complaints about it. And then I ended up using some of this 5-conductor wire. So what comes with this is a harness as well as several actuators, and then some little different metal bits to help to mount the actuators and things. The harness, it's, I wouldn't say it's really long enough. You might be able, depending on where you put this thing, you might be able to get away with using it, but for me it was not long enough. And so I ended up getting some wire, and that was all. I just needed 5-conductor. It was fine. It doesn't need to be super thick. And then I only used one actuator. So this thing comes with 4 actuators. 3 of them are like this, where there's 2 wires on them. The only one I used was the 5-wire actuator. And I basically just replaced the one in the driver's door with that. And then some splice wire connectors. These are really helpful for if you want to connect something to a wire that's already there, and I did want to do that, so I use those. Some type of connector for wires, like crimp connector. These are actually solder wire connectors. I find they're a little better. I prefer them a little bit. But yeah, you can use any type of connector. It's fine, perfectly adequate. These are like connectors. They're like the type that you can unplug. So these connectors are more permanent. You can't really unplug them very easily, or hopefully you can't unplug them. But these are more like they're they connect together, male and female sides. So I use these because I use this. Had to move to this wire, and I thought, hey, it'd be nice to be able to potentially unplug it if I need to. And then for me, the other thing I used was this relay. Okay. What I needed was naturally open. This one actually has naturally open and naturally closed in it, but I'll explain a little bit of what that means. But if you're looking for a relay, you might be able to find one even cheaper than what these were. These are actually, I actually had these lying around already for another project. So yeah, but you might be able to find it cheaper if it's just naturally open rather than having both options. So there were two things that I kind of wanted to work around with my Supra that you may not have this if you're doing it with a different car. First is that my Supra does have power locks. It just doesn't have the fob unlock. And so, which my power locks needed to be cleaned and all that. And that, it was one of those things I did while I was in there. I might post another video about that. But it does have power locks. Okay, and so it's not like I'm just adding the actuators and I'm basically adding all my own lock system to the car. It does have a perfectly adequate locking system. It just doesn't have a way to do the key fob, and so I needed to work with that. The other thing about this is the Supra has an alarm system. Now, I don't really know how that alarm system works. I am not familiar with it. I've looked up a few things on, what is supposed to trigger it, and I honestly can't really find anything. And so I made some precautions to make sure that I wouldn't end up triggering the alarm system by using the key fob. Okay, and I'll explain that right now as I kind of walk through the schematic with you on this. So here's the schematic of how the Supra's door lock system works. So you have basically these are the two actuators on the left door, the driver's door. This is the button actuator where you push the button and it locks or unlocks the car. And then this is the key on the outside of the car. You can turn it and it'll trigger the lock or unlock for the car. And so when you push the unlock button, so normal running, this relay is going to put 12 volts on both of these pins. Okay, it's going to put 12 volt on this unlock line, and it's going to put 12 volt on this lock line. And so when you push the button to unlock the car, it's going to basically short this line to ground. Okay, and it'll go to zero. And you see that when you look at kind of the description there on the other page. And same with the lock. When you push it, it touches this 12 volt line from the relay to ground, and it basically just shorts it to ground, making it zero. Okay, and it does it for all of those. And so that's actually why some cars you have a system where when you hit the unlock once, it only unlocks the driver's door. There isn't any system like that for this, and that's okay. You don't need it. And so it shorts, and then when this relay detects that there's a short here, it will then engage these two pins here. Okay, really it'll put 12 volts on one of them, and then the other 12 volts is basically the ground for it. And yeah, it'll engage it, and then it'll move the actuator to lock or unlock your car. Okay. Now, I don't know if it's the case with this or not. Pretty confident with at least some cars' alarm systems. If you were to just hook the wires from that lock computer up to these, that it would definitely trigger the alarm, because honestly what it would assume is that somebody has, you know, put something through the window, got a hold of the little you know, thing that you pull up on to unlock the car, and pulled it up, and so now there's an unauthorized entry for this car. And so I didn't want to have that happen. Okay. Again, I probably could have gotten away with it with this car. I actually don't see, you know, much with like the theft control on this schematic. There's like a warning switch here. So I don't know that. I mean, that could be it. I don't know. But I didn't want to mess around with that, and so what I decided to do, and also I just wanted the car to continue to lock and unlock in the way that it was designed to do. Okay, now I did have to change some things anyways, but yeah, I wanted it to lock and unlock in the way that it was initially designed to do. So I'll show you what I did with another schematic here in a sec. But the other thing I want to mention, each of these solenoids has a switch that basically tells the relay is the door locked or unlocked. Okay, and so it's a physical solenoid. So when the solenoid is extended, it's in one position. When it's retracted, it's in the other. And whether or not this this pin or this line is grounded, essentially, or open, is what tells the relay, is this door open or not. Okay. Not, again, something that's not necessarily the most important. It might, I mean, it could contribute something to the theft system. I don't know. But that's another thing that I had to be considerate of when it came to setting up and designing this. All right, so here is the schematic that I modified. And the way I did it was I added 2 of these relays in, okay? Now the way a relay works, I'm going to use this as an example here. The way a relay works is you've got a coil, okay? And when that coil is energized, it's going to trigger this switch, okay? Now, relays come in either naturally open or naturally closed conditions, and so that means that when this is not energized, this switch is either open, which means it is not connected, or it's closed, which means that it is connected. And so you want 2 relays that are naturally open, okay? Now, mine is a 5-wire relay, and you see that there's 4 wires coming out of this, and some of you may have noticed this one here. Mine is a 5-wire relay, which means that it has a naturally open switch, and as well it has a naturally closed switch, which is what this Y is. And so you can get one that does not have this 5th wire on it, and it will work perfectly fine as long as it's naturally open. Okay, and so the way that this works is that this install gear, when you hit the unlock button, is going to send a 12-volt pulse to either this green wire or this blue wire. Okay, now with the relay, those wires match up with this lavender and red wire and this lavender wire, and they literally just trigger this this solenoid either direction. Okay, so if it's locked, it's going to go one way, and then if it's unlocked, it's going to trigger it the opposite way, and the electricity is going to go the opposite direction. And so we want to and the main gear is going to work the same way. The pulses are going to work the same way. And so if you want to try hooking it up directly to these 2 wires, you can try that, and you might get away with it. I'm not going to say that that is not going to work, because it just might. Now, I know for a fact that some theft deterrent computers, like the one that is in this MK3 Supra, will definitely trigger if you do that. I don't know if mine will. I don't know if this one will, but I know that some will. So you've been warned. If you decide, yeah, I'm just going to hook up to these 2 wires and your alarm goes off, that's why, is because you hooked it up directly to these 2 wires. So in order to trick the theft deterrent, we are going to basically trigger the lock and unlock in the same exact way as it is designed to do from the factory. And so I have put this relay here, and when I hit the lock, we'll say the unlock button, it's going to, the install gear is going to send a 12-volt signal through this blue wire, and then I hook the blue wire up to the white wire of the relay. Now, just to be clear, it doesn't actually matter which way it goes. Either one of them, blue or black, you can hook this up and it should still work properly. But I decided to hook the blue up to the white, and it will energize this solenoid and then move this switch to the closed position. And when it moves this switch to the closed position, it will be shorting this 12-volt signal I told you guys about a little bit ago. It'll be shorting it straight through to ground. And that will tell the relay it's time to unlock the doors. And it will send the unlock pulse to both of these solenoids. And then the lock system works exactly the same way, just opposite. You push the lock button, it sends 12-volt signal to the green wire, goes all the way through, hooks up to the white wire again, or the black wire, whichever one, energizes this solenoid, and closes this switch. Okay. Now with that, for my car, the lock, the switch is going to be either the blue or the red wire. It doesn't matter. You can have them backwards. It's okay. But the lock switch is going to go to this green and yellow wire. And then the unlock switch, which I decided to stick with the blue for both of them, but again, you can switch it and it's fine. But the blue is going to go to this lavender and blue wire that is connected to pin 13, okay? As opposed to the green yellow one is connected to pin 6. And then the other side of this switch just needs to go to ground. Okay, so the red went to ground, which is white and black on my car. So this is showing the grounds being separate from each other. That is actually not the case with how I wired it, because it frankly would have been kind of a pain in the butt to do that. They're actually connected directly to each other, and then connected to a wire coming from the install gear that goes straight to the ground on my battery. So yeah, but at the end of the day, black and red need to be grounded on both on these relays. And then for the actuator, or the solenoid, I only touched the driver's side solenoid. Okay. And this is another thing, I probably could have gotten away with not replacing it and just hooking the wires from the install gear up to it, or hooking one wire of the install gear up to it. One difference between the solenoid that is in the car from this factory and the solenoid that comes with this, I said it was the 5-wire solenoid, is this switch. Okay. This switch tells the relay if the door is locked or unlocked. And so if, I don't know which one is which exactly. I figured it out for the wiring of this to determine it, but in one direction it's locked and in the other direction it's unlocked. This factory service manual, in the part where it tells you how to diagnose these solenoids, is going to tell you which position the switch needs to be in for locked and unlocked. Okay. But the solenoid that came with the install gear has 5 wires on it, and one of those wires is basically the opposite of this switch. So in one way, if it's locked, this switch will be closed and then the other one will be open, and then if you unlock it, it'll go the other way. And so, kind of switch it. So I don't know if that's really that important or not. I didn't really bother testing it, but I figured, hey, I could hook this up and it wouldn't hurt anything at all. And so I did that. And so from the install gear, the white wire is the one that goes to this door lock solenoid. And then the brown wire also goes to the solenoid. So the brown wire is the one that is actually going to the stock wiring. You still are probably going to want the stock wiring because the relay will pay attention to it. And so, yeah, hook that brown wire up to the white and lavender wire. And then the white wire just goes to the white wire that's coming off of the solenoid. That's the one from install gear. And then for my purposes, the blue wire from the solenoid goes with the lavender and red wire, and the green wire goes with the lavender wire. If you have those hooked up backwards, it's not a huge deal. You could probably even find an easy way to switch them, whether it's switch the wires here, switch this one and this one, or even just switch them around. It's not that complicated. So the connectors on them are the same, so it really is pretty easy to swap them. And so, but that's just what it was for my car. And obviously if you get a different brand, or if install gear changes their system, then you might need to do that a little bit differently, but it's the same concept. Okay. So brown hooked up to the switch. The black is the ground. Okay, make sure that's hooked up, obviously. White goes to the white wire, and then blue, lavender, red, green, lavender. Okay. Feel free to ask questions. I can explain more. It's not terribly complicated once you get it, but it is a once you get it type of thing. It comes with this massive and pretty sufficiently tangled wiring loom, but we'll make it work. So my plan, I've got the glove box out. My plan is to just toss this guy right here in the glove box. Okay, I'm just gonna attach it using sheet metal screws or something. And so with that, I need to run these wires all the way to the driver's side door. All right, so I just finished wiring the power wires. So these two wires, this red one with the fuse, and then this black one. Black one kind of comes up, has a bit of a Y with it. The other side goes to the driver door. So I did shorten both of these wires because I didn't need as much length of them as came with it. And I was hooking them up to these wires here. And so first thing, do not under any circumstance remove this fuse. I don't know that this device has been tested that much for safety, and so at the end of the day, this can be the main thing that stops your car from having a fire. So don't remove the fuse. So the wires, they go up through the glove box, in which the whole thing is going to be inside this glove box eventually. So but they go through this hole, and that leads them to right here, coming out of this boot here. Now, this is where the right way and the best way to do this kind of diverge a little bit. The right way to do this would be to cut the electrical tape from the boot right here and run it in through the boot. However you do that, you are running a pretty big risk of cutting a wire, even just shearing the insulation off of a wire, and it's a huge pain in the butt unless you take the wiring harness out, and that's just not really worth it for this. So I just ran it through the side of the boot right there. at the end of the day, you are technically compromising the waterproof integrity of this a little bit, but it's, yeah, honestly, I think the only reason it would be an issue is if you literally were standing there spraying water onto it. So I'm not that worried about it. So then I run the wire all the way around the engine bay. Just kind of, I zip tied it to just some random things to keep it from flying around in the wind. And then I attached it to my battery plugs. The battery plugs, I got these from Amazon. They're just quick connects for the battery, and they have been very clutch because, yeah, it's not uncommon for me to have something I'm doing where it's like I need to disconnect the battery for this. So, so yeah, definitely get those. Or I can put where they are, where you can find them in the description if anybody wants them. So. But yeah, just attach them to those with the little O crimp connectors. All right, so I have gotten, so that's a fish tape, like what you'd used for running wires in a house. And, you know, it's the same concept in a car as a house. You just run the fish tape through until you find it, and then you tape your wires to it. So there's, in case you have this car, Supra like I do, there's a channel right back here that just runs straight through to the other side. A lot of cars probably have that, although I'm pretty sure my van does not. So, yeah, so all I need to do, just need to, I'm going to use electrical tape it to that, and then we'll pull it through, and then getting it to the door is very, very possible here. All right, so it's now nicely taped up, and here we go. And we're on the other side. Boom. So I ended up losing some footage, so I'm just going to explain. Yeah, got the wires to here, and clearly did not have enough to actually go into the door. And so decided to get a 5-conductor cable that I basically plug it in right here and then run it into the door. I added these wires here or these connectors here. They're, you know, plug-in type connectors. There's a 3 and a 2, so I just split them up. And then I decided I needed to remove the door, which I'll kind of walk through a little of that. But behind this, there are 2 connectors. They're both blue. They're not hard to get off. I would recommend, I mean, there are different connectors from each other. They're very clearly different, but because they are also, you know, blue and kind of, yeah, I put a T on one of them for top. So it's a good idea to label which one's which. But they are just right behind here. There's a fuse box and a bunch of other connectors in there. Yeah. And then to remove the door, you take this pin right here out, and then you just disconnect the 4 bolts up here and down here. All right, so now that we got the wire through there, we need to get it into the door. So taking this door panel off is pretty easy. You just undo these 2 screws right here, and this part comes right off. And pop this thing off. Okay. All right, so I ended up taking the door off. That was mostly because it was a lot easier to get into that boot with the door off. And so here's the other side of the boot. It had duct tape wrapped around it, and then the inside, I haven't really been able to get the inside out yet. I might not bother trying to, just because it's tough to get out because of where it is. But you do want to be careful removing the tape. Yeah, I did use a knife to remove it. Just try not to cut the rubber boot. The other thing is with taking the door off, be careful. if you drop this, you'll probably shatter the window. Okay, so make sure that it's leaning against something that'll hold it, like this wall. You know, don't pick it up and drop it if you can help it. Yeah. And then I ended up deciding that what I was going to do, like down here, I was going to actually put connectors on this thing, and then I got a 5 conductor wire that I'm going to run through the door and just connect right up to this. Yeah, I felt like that would be a lot easier, so I could kind of do 2 parts. It would also make it a lot easier if I ever needed to remove the door again. So all I had to do is disconnect the connectors. Yeah, and I really actually don't think I have enough wire to actually make it to where I would need to make it in the door. So at the end of the day, this is the better option. All right, so I now have my wire run through the boot of the door. Okay, I took the door totally off, and so I haven't done a lot of wire runs like this, and so some of you may be coming into this with as much or even less experience than I do with some of this. Most wire runs I do have been for like the house and things. But this is a little bit of a different animal just because you're kind of working in some much tighter spaces. So these boots are taped pretty thoroughly, which is good. They should be. You'll notice the bottom of the boot is actually still wrapped around this wiring loom here. So what they did is, yeah, they taped the bottom of it. They wrapped electrical tape around it, and then they wrap it around the top. And so what I found to be the easiest way is basically just to disconnect the wires from, or cut the electrical tape off the top thing here, and leave the one on the bottom. Okay. And then the inside is a little tougher. Let me get a light in here for you. The inside is definitely the harder part, partly just because you don't have a lot of space there, and with it taped, it's not going to want to move much. But yeah, just kind of keep working at it and you'll get through there. Be really careful. Try not to cut those wires, because yeah, that'll be just a big pain in the butt if you have to repair that. So yeah, once I got both sides free, I was able to snake my what's this thing called? Fish tape through it. And then I fished it through this side. Okay, this side I probably could have, but it just was kind of a little trickier. And so yeah, I fished it through this side, and then I taped my wire to it. You got to be a little strategic with the tape. It is very tight. Okay, it's not a particularly free moving joint, you know. I'm going to go ahead and remove the actual locking module from the car. I'm doing this both so I can replace the solenoid as well as just clean it, because I'm sure there's 40 years of gunk in that thing. So to do that, you gotta disconnect the disconnect the linkages going to it. I'm gonna try and do it while disconnecting them from the outside, but I don't know, I might need to disconnect them in here. We'll see. Yeah, this one's for the handle to open the door opener handle. This one's for the lock, the electric lock. And then the other two are going to be right inside here, for the outside handle, as well as the key lock. So it's a little too tight for me to kind of show with the camera, so I'm just gonna do it and come back. All right, so I think I have this working pretty good now. This is tricky, okay, but it's not impossible. So what you need to do is you need to basically shorten these some. I found that like 3 holes. I guess this one's 4, but 3 on this one, 4 on this one was plenty, even though they are at the end. Yeah, and so you attach them to these screws, and then you screw it in on this side. If you screw it in on the other side, you'll probably run into that, so you don't want to do that. So yeah, attach them with these screws. But before you do that, see if you can get a general measurement for how long this needs to be. And I had to use heat to bend it. And it's not particularly, I mean, if you bend it without heat, I actually snapped one by bending it without heat. So I would recommend use heat to bend it. I tried to get this little black nub in, but I couldn't. So I just curled it really tight, and that seems to be working pretty good. And I would even recommend with this, like, extend it out and then put this in the up position, which I think is unlock. I could be wrong, but put it in the up position, and then you basically want to have this as far that way as you can get it, and have it like holding this where it needs to be. Okay. Yeah, if it's not, then this is going to be prone to like going in like a different direction or doing something you don't want it to do. And yeah, honestly, when going back, it's more likely to be fine than it is going up. And then I have my battery here, and what you want to do, you want to just cycle this thing. All right, like that's out, and then in, and then cycle it out, back out, and in. And like this thing doesn't need to move much. All right, it's like that's one position, there's the other one. All right, it's not much. It's able to get it pretty easy, and you can even see the latch on here. And so yeah, literally just like, yeah, keep trying it, you know. Look at what it's doing, where that latch is going, if it's open or not. And then also test these. Okay, so these are that switch I was showing you. And so, you know, I don't remember which is which, but you know, one of them's the black is the common. So all right, it's shorting onto the white, it's not shorting on that one. So now let's cycle it the other way, and let's see if I can get, and this is where it's really important to have that as far out as you can get it. Yep, there we go. So and then that's working. So it's more likely that the switch is more likely to not trigger if it's not far enough out. Okay, if you pull it even just a little bit back, you'll probably get the white trigger. And honestly, that one's the less important one. The brown one's the more important one. Okay, because I don't remember exactly what the brown one's showing. I guess it's showing unlocked, but that's the one that the car itself is going to use in addition. And the only one that uses this is actually the little box that came with the whole system. And so yeah, like I said, just cycle it a lot. Even look for deflection on some of these things. Like make sure that this thing isn't moving at all. Make sure all these screws are really tight. You don't want this to move. Okay, it's gonna be a bad day if you know this falls out of where it's supposed to be, and then you can't open your door. Like, I mean, yeah, if you're in the car, you'll at least have a way to get in. You'll have a way to unlock it, but yeah, you don't want to mess around with, oh, I can't get my door open, you know. So yeah, if anybody has questions about it, you can leave it in the comments, and I can try to help you more with especially with getting this thing situated properly. All right, so I now have the door back on. I did do it by myself, but full disclosure, you'll probably want some help doing that, because it was not easy. I mean, you have to literally pick it up and then line it up with the hinges and put the screws in all at once. So I used 2 jacks, this one and another one, to pick it up. If you do that, do not trust those jacks to balance the door. Yeah, one of the things that I feel like I can count on the door doing or happening if I were to drop this door is the window shattering. So you want to do everything you can to make sure that that does not happen. Unless you want to replace your window, which my window's not in perfect shape, but it's fine. All right, another kind of jump-in video because I lost footage that I had before. Probably because it takes so long to do these that I end up having to delete stuff. But you can't totally tell because the window's down and I can't really pull the wires out because of that. But I cut the connector that was on the solenoid off. So yeah, just have your diagram, your schematic, and carefully put them together. It's not hard. It's not hard at all. Yeah, especially if you pay attention to the part where I was talking about the schematic earlier. It goes in pretty good. All right, so I now have one of the relays wired in. I'm going to show you how to wire in the other one. Just so you can kind of see. This is not necessarily advisable. I don't know how many electricians would be very excited about what I've done with the grounds here, but I basically just shoved them all in one crimp connector. It's a solder connector, and yeah, just heated them all together. They're holding good. Yeah, is that the highly recommended way to do it? No, it's not. I'm not gonna lie to you guys and tell you it is. But that being said, seems like it's working. So you want to take your white wire, and then you want to pay close attention to where the wires go on this. Okay. So right now I'm wiring up the lock relay. Okay. And so the white wire on the lock relay is going to go and connect to the green wire coming out of the box. And so, yeah, okay. So I need to connect it to this green wire. Now, some of these wires, when I connected it over here, I changed the color. So make sure you're paying attention to what you're doing color-wise, okay? It's not terribly difficult to mess something up. So, yeah. Okay, so one of the nice things about these solder connections is you can kind of get away with like doing some funky things with the sizes. Crimp connectors, like if one of the wires is smaller and it's too small for the connector, you're kind of out of luck. But this, because it's held in with solder at the end of the day, not so bad. So this one's actually a little too big for this green wire, but it's not going to matter because, again, it'll be held in with solder. So I'm just going to shove them both in there nicely, like that. And then heat it up. All right, that's good. And then the last part is we're going to need to put a clamp connector on here and on this wiring harness. Okay. Now I put the wrong size connector on, so I'm gonna fix that. Now you're gonna need to use the red size for these connectors. Okay. It's this, I think it's the smallest size that the kit I have at least comes with. But the wire on the relay is larger than that size. And so what we're gonna do to rectify that is we're basically gonna hook this to a smaller wire, and then we're gonna connect a smaller wire to the relay wire. It works. I don't have a big issue with that. Yeah, the biggest concern would be like current flow, and this isn't getting that much current, so at least it better not be. So yeah, just kind of, and yeah, I'm even using the wire that I cut off of the harness here. So yeah. A couple good tugs. All right. And then I definitely don't need this much length, so I'm going to trim you. And I'm going to cut the one I put on there earlier off. So yeah, I have quite the mess of wires right here. My wife ends up finding it. She's not gonna be thrilled, but it's okay. She's not really coming out here very much because of how cold it is. So gotta take advantage of it. What good electrician does not have a gigantic mess of wires pretty much everywhere they work, right? Cool. All right. So now, again, you need to pay really close attention to what you are connecting to on this schematic, okay? For the unlock, you're connecting to a lavender and a black wire, okay? That lavender and black wire, the black is not very, the black is basically just a line that goes along the length of the wire. And so if it's not turned the right way, you won't see it, okay? It's not a very thick line. In fact, it's actually lavender with like some brown spots on it. And there's another wire that's also lavender with brown spots. So just know you want to spend some good time kind of looking at these wires and make sure you don't connect to the wrong one, okay? For the lock, you want a green and yellow wire, okay? Also, just so you know, both of these wires are on the end here in this connector, okay? Now, I prefer to not connect like right where the connector is. I'd rather go a little further in, so that's where this one is. And looking, it looks like might be a green and white one too. Yeah, there is. So be very careful to make sure we find the correct green and yellow wire. All right, first test. Let's see. lock does not seem to be working. Okay. I think I know why. All right, so I've now got it working. Let me show you. That's great. The reason why the earlier one did not work was 2 reasons. First one, this is the wrong connector, but I had the connector I was using, I shined a light on it, and I saw the wire right in this area here, okay? So that meant that my crimp was not on the wire, it was on the insulation, which is not what you want, okay? And when the spade went inside of the I don't know what it's called, the connector there, it made it so that the wire was not touching the spade at all, okay? And that meant that it was not connected. Basically, you had this metal spade going in there and then connecting up to an insulator that electricity wasn't going to flow. So then I removed that, put a new one in, and then that one also did not work initially. And what I had to do was I had to shine a light on this and like look on both sides. And on one of the sides, I could still see the spade, which meant the spade was not in. Again, well, that first time the spade was in, but the second time the spade was not in. So that was just a matter of kind of jiggling it around, pulling it out, and putting it back in until I could get that spade in there. So that, and it's just simple electricity, man. You just need to get it to flow. So the next part, I need to mount these relays. Okay. The tricky part with mounting them is you want to make sure that the window is not going to get in the way of them. Okay. If the window ever touches them, then it's just going to more than likely tear them out, or I mean, the window might get hung up. You might even break your window. So I'm thinking putting them in here where I don't think the window actually comes down. I am going to bring the window down to verify. Guys, it is worth it. Check the window 10 or 11 times. Like, don't just guess. Like, put the window down, put this thing in there, even hold it in there while you bring the window back up. Like, cycle it a few times. Don't mess with the risk of breaking your window. Okay. So yeah, I might hang it like kind of in here. I might even do like lower is I think fine too, because I don't think the window actually like touches the bottom of this thing. So, but yeah, again, just kind of run it a few times, make sure that it works. I actually had so you might have noticed. Let me see if I get it on camera here. This guy broke. This is the actuator for the key, and the window. Well, I had it in there, but I didn't have the wire tucked in properly, and the window came and just hit that wire and tore it right off, and it broke it. And so now I need to get a replacement one of these. So, and yeah, it's not terrible, but it's definitely more than I want to. I want to say it's at least like $50 to get one of those things. It's literally just a connector. So, yeah, it is what it is. That's the deal when you've got an old car like this, right? So, so yeah, but good news, we've got it working. So we've done what we set out to do. All right. So I got the relay in. It's that white thing sticking out right there. My finger's kind of on it right now. Obviously, if you find a better spot you want to put it in, please do. I'm gonna have to remove one of the clips that's on the interior lining of the door, but I'm not that worried about it. You got these 2 screws up here, and then you got the ones down here that are holding it into. I'm not that worried about it. So yeah, and then the only other thing you need to think about is just how you're gonna run the rest of the wires. So I I'm not gonna show you because it is literally that easy, but I just took this this thing out. It's just a couple screws, and then I zip tied it. I just found like 1 or 2 posts to zip tie it in there, and then I put it right back on. And then on the other side, right here, I actually changed where I was gonna mount it. I was gonna mount it like up here inside this, but I changed my mind. I decided to put it right here. That was for a few reasons. One, the amount of wire I had, it was gonna be kind of tight to get it into this corner, but also it was a lot easier to mount it to this than it was to here. I was actually able to mount it to this while it was taken out. Like, I was able to take this piece out. It's just like 3 screws, I guess. One of mine is missing, but it's 3 screws technically. And it comes right out, and then I literally, while it was out, I just mounted the little module to it. So yeah, there we go. I think this was pretty successful. Thanks guys for watching. I am gonna do a video at some point. I don't totally know when yet. I need to get 1 or 2 more parts for it, but I'm gonna do a video at some point adding the trunk latch, as well as just, there's a wire that is on this to run to the lights, basically. I'll either run it to the tail lights or the indicator lights. And then, yeah, I'd say this will be pretty much good to go. So yeah, there will be a part 2. That'll be quite a bit smaller than this one was. But let me know what you guys think. If there's anything I did that you think I can improve upon, please let me know. I'd be happy to do that. And yeah, catch you guys in the next one. Peace.